welcome to the Great Big Indian Wellness Show. And if you have just joined us, you're on day 2 of this 2-day extravaganza of wellness, health, and fitness, and so many tips and masterclasses. There is something for everyone. And we really, as we come out of the pandemic or are on our way to a hopefully an unlock on Monday, we'll be going through various topics to help you navigate through these challenging times. So today, what are we talking about? Digital detox, and I'm absolutely the wrong person for this. So what does it mean? We all go out in groups, but yet we're all on our digital screens. When the children are talking to me, yet my eyes are on the device. And when it's bedtime, we still think, let me just check this, or let me just check the football scores, or let me see what's happening on Facebook. So how do we help become digitally detoxed? And to join me is Rahim Ibu. Rahim supports clients to a positive and meaningful relationship with their digital world. He holds a BSc in psychology and is as well as being qualified in NLP. So welcome, Rahim, and it's really good to have you.
Thank you, Hina, and I'm really excited to be part of this Indian Wellness Show. So thank you very much for having me.
So Rahim, help me. How do I switch off?
It's such a difficult thing, especially after a year of being in lockdown and having to rely on our digital technology to keep us connected and to keep us working and to keep our kids at online schooling. And it's a really new area around well-being and wellness, this whole area of digital. How does it impact our lives? And we are more and more struggling to find those boundaries and know when to switch off with this. And I think there are two parts to this. There are the internal things that happen in our lives that are being met or fulfilled by going onto social media, checking our emails. As you said, you're with friends or family and you're on the phone. There's some internal need that's being met there. And then there's all of those external triggers, all of those messages, alerts, notifications, flashing lights that just keep dragging us back. And how do we control those two things that go on? With the internal triggers, it takes a little work, and that's what I work with my clients on, is understanding what are the needs that are being met. With the external triggers, there are simple techniques and tools that you can use that actually make life a lot simpler. Switching off your notifications is quite a popular one. You know, we think, oh, I can't switch off my notifications. I'll be disconnected from the rest of the world. But actually, if you do that, you'll find over time, you start to be able to live without that constant need to be switched on with that. Putting your phone at the other end of the room, turning it over, creating a little time at the end of the day, half an hour where you don't have any screen time, or half an hour at the beginning of the morning where you don't have any screen time. Once you've built the habit, you can start to live with it.
It doesn't really, well, I mean, I get your point, but it doesn't really help me because all my work is online. So whether it's a laptop, and now everything is mobile, technology is on a higher pace than the way we live. How can I, because everyone just says my work's online. So they have their mailboxes on their phones, they have their apps on their phones. So how can I balance the work? And it's not just going into the office now. You know, we've moved away from that 9 to 5, and we also now from the pandemic learned that we're moving away from office to home, and we can't have that distinction, can we, right now?
Yeah, and it's really tough. It's really tough to know where those boundaries are. But in all of our sort of history of humankind, we've had natural boundaries to help us unwind and to relax. Whether it's religious boundaries of, you know, a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday as a day of rest, a holiday, a national festival, even commuting to work, there are natural boundaries that help us switch off, to relax. But you're absolutely right that now, with all our work online, we just don't know where to put those boundaries in. And it's really up to us to put in our own boundaries. We've kind of let it hit us as a wave, and we go, well, it's part of our lives now. We just accept it. But we can push back and say there are times where I'm not going to work. And it's about us actually filling our days with constructive things. So if we want to spend time with our children, then make that a type, a mobile free zone. If we want to go and watch a movie, put your phone miles away, put it in your bag, switch it off, turn it off, because those little notifications keep coming in. And I agree with work, and it's sometimes with work, it's about actually speaking with your colleagues, with your managers, and finding out what is acceptable within the work environment. I think many managers will probably agree actually they're struggling as well on the weekends. They've got these demands. So it's about sort of sitting down and saying, okay, what is acceptable in a work environment? If I have to work on the weekend, do I just say, look, 1 hour on Saturday morning I dedicate to just checking my emails, and then I'm out of office, and then it's done with? Because our brains are stimulated to go back to the email and check, and then check the reply, and then check the reply to that. And actually, it's not that productive. In the end of the day, we're less productive doing that than if we set aside allocated time for work.
And I also feel the pressure, because I can't switch off. If someone sends me an email, or I read a WhatsApp or a message, they expect you to respond straight away, and then they'll think, why hasn't she responded? And sometimes I feel like, okay, I'm not going to read the message. 80 messages sitting there, and people, I have other people waiting for, thinking, why hasn't she responded to me? Why hasn't she responded to me? There's a lot of pressure on people that now think they have to read a message and respond.
Yeah, and it's this way that the brain works, this notion of instant gratification, and the sort of, like, all the dopamine hits that we get from replying or responding to things. I would say it's similar for the other person. So we're kind of mind reading what everybody else's response will be. That if I don't respond to them, oh my God, they hate me, they don't like me, they're ignoring me. We do this mind reading of emotions onto somebody else, and they're probably having quite a relaxed afternoon with their family and haven't given it a second thought. So there's a bit of mind reading going on there. But there is the way the brain works in terms of wanting to reply straight away. And then it becomes the vicious circle is, I've responded to you, you're now feeling obliged to respond to me. We don't know when to stop this chain of replies, because like in a normal phone conversation, you kind of sense the lull in the conversation, go, oh, okay, well, we'll catch up next week or whatever it is, which doesn't happen when it's virtual. In terms of sort of emails and things, again, it's about prioritizing which are the emails that need to be responded to. And you can always drop a note to people to say, I'm really busy today, I will get round to this tomorrow. And that one liner will let people know, okay, they're not ignoring me, but they'll get back to me. Maybe they're busy today. So I think it's about setting boundaries again about what we want to do. But we do get overwhelmed when we see that many things. Oh my God, I've got 100 emails in my inbox. Where do I start? But prioritize and set aside time. Half an hour in the morning, check them, tick which ones you need to respond to straight away, and then just let those ones that you need to do later on, let them know.
And do you think it's too late for me to, or how is it harder for me to rewire my thoughts, to move away from the habits I have grown, to actually creating those boundaries of when I'm available, or okay, let's try not to respond straight away, and having that pressure or that stress of trying to please everyone?
Yeah, and making new habits, there's a lot of studies on how you make habits, and if you could, keep a habit for X amount of days, it's ingrained in you. And there's a lot of science and neuroscience about how our neural pathways work to create habits and build those new neural pathways. My suggestion would be is you take small steps towards this. And within all habits, at the beginning, it's a little bit difficult. So you might need to find certain ways of rewarding yourself so it makes it feel like you're getting the same sort of dopamine hit that you would if you replied, but you just build it up incrementally. So at the beginning of lockdown, when I was doing some courses online, I had my phone next to me, and then and I do a lot of voluntary work. So I would get messages coming in, and then I would respond to that, Then I would check the email and I was completely distracted. So now the phone has been constantly on mute. I just keep a couple of notifications. I turn the phone over. So I can't see when a message is coming in. Now, at the beginning, this was really difficult because my hand kept reaching for the phone to have a check. But now, like we're talking right now, the phone is next to me, it's upside down, there are no notifications on, I'm relaxed. So it's building that consistency, because then once you have the consistency, it becomes second nature.
No, absolutely, and I do need to, and I'm sure there's a lot of viewers out there that need to adopt this. So, the last set of questions I want to build around children. So, I have a 14-year-old girl, and since the year 8, year 7, she went into a secondary school. Schools insist that they have be given a phone. Now I can give her the brick, but then I can't track her, not to follow her, but make sure she's safe. So that means I need to give her a smartphone. So, I mean, that's for that purpose. But then, all their homework is online. Then they are influenced with social media, and, it's like Snapchat thing. I don't actually get the whole thing anyway, but I see her and it's like straight away she's on it. And it's just like, do you have to respond there and then? She goes, yeah, it'll go away in a couple of seconds. I'm like, going, seriously? And just tell me, what challenges do you see and the trends you see with children?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. And I would say this generation of children have grown up with this technology. And so for them, it's second nature. It's part of how their habits have formed, how their brains have structured now, because this is what they see around them constantly. We didn't grow up with that. So we've sort of come into it with a kind of a pre-understanding and then a post-understanding, whereas children don't have that. It's just the world that they live in with that. And it's similarly to how our adult brains grow, the child's brain also is creating new neural pathways. This is how they learn. But if we add in the digital technology to them, they're obviously that's going to grow stronger, faster as well. And to be quite honest with you, while there's good technology, there's bad technology, and then there's really ugly technology. And, a lot of those tech firms know how to prey on that. And that's how they work. Snapchat, it knows that just being a few seconds is that instant boost, get you hooked. And that. So really, it's about explaining with your children and sitting down and sort of having those conversations about, what are their boundaries? What are your boundaries as a family? As a family, agree. Don't set rules for the children that you don't follow yourself.
Yeah.
If you're going to say we're going to have family time, then you can't go off and check a work email. If you're watching a movie together or something that the kids are watching, and you decide to check an email because you think they're not watching you, they'll sense that straight away. They'll sense why are you distracted? Why are you not engaged with me?
That's true.
So set those boundaries as a family. But also try and encourage other forms of distractions or other hobbies that don't involve the technology as well. So, an hour a day, do you find something, sport, a hobby, reading, that allows them to build other neural pathways and not to be so dependent on that instant gratification?
Yeah, I mean, I actually do find that when we, as a family, go for walks or cycling, we have more meaningful conversations. There's no external distractions, but they are so easily impressionable that they get distracted so quickly.
Yeah. And again, it goes back to what I said a little bit earlier, that even in a child, there are internal triggers. There's a need that's being met by it. So Snapchat, social connection, ever more so today with social media. What do my friends think of me? If I don't respond, then I'm not going to be friends with them anymore. And it becomes very fleeting. And there's such a big demand on them. Pressure is horrific, So it is about, helping them form friendships and bonds and relationships that can counterbalance that are also meaningful. So it's not to say that they can't use it. It's how and when they use it and what the purpose is for that. And if you have that discussion, then it becomes a sort of a family agreement. It becomes, we all agree to this. We all understand this now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I hope that it's going to be useful to our audience. If you have missed any sessions, please head over to iglobalnews.com where all the sessions are available and you are tuned into the Great Big Indian Wellness Show. And please stay tuned for the other sessions. Thank you.
Thank you.